one, not two, but three homers for Kerry Carpenter. Welcome into Fantasy Baseball today on Tuesday, June 3rd. I am Frank Stampfl, joined by Chris Towers. Today on the show, we had a light slate of games, so we've got some other things to talk about, fun stats from May. I have a fantasy justice dilemma for Chris, and much more. But let's jump in.
Yeah, baby!
That is a new one that I heard tonight, and that was after a Mike Trout home run.
Yes, I did enjoy the very timely Austin Powers reference during Mike Trout's mammoth home run tonight.
Yes, and mammoth home run it was indeed. Let's start things off on the right foot here, Chris, before we get to potentially a fantasy funeral. But Kerry Carpenter had himself a huge game, 3 for 5 with a triple dong, 5 RBI. He was pretty cold before this game. Previous 13, 170 batting average, 1 homer, 481 OPS. So he was due. He was facing the White Sox. Obviously, that helps.
You know what? Now it's 4 home runs in his last 14 games. That's pretty good.
It's pretty good. 276, 13 homers, 822 OPS. He's hitting the ball hard. He's barreling it up. Expected stats look pretty good. I mean, the only drawback here, Chris, is that he doesn't play against lefties still. Like, he played a few games against lefties early on this season. He hasn't been good. I don't think it's going to happen. Like, he's a platoon bat, but he's also a platoon bat that can hit 275 with like 25 to 30 homers, which is still a very good player.
Yeah, I still think he was probably being overdrafted coming into the season just because he was always going to be a platoon bat. On the other hand, I think we all mentioned, like, hey, there's not that much difference between Kerry Carpenter and Jock Peterson, and we look like dummies for saying that. Because Kerry Carpenter's been pretty good, and Jock Peterson's been maybe the worst hitter in baseball so far this season. So a win for the Kerry Carpenter people. He is a really good hitter against righties. He got off to an absolutely bonkers start. The expected numbers in April were like, people were jokingly referring to him as Barry Bonds, and it wasn't like far off. He has not been quite that good since, but overall 349 expected WOBA. That's still very good. He's cut the strikeout rate. He's probably never going to be able to hit lefties well. But that just puts a ceiling on how valuable that he can be. Not, it doesn't wreck his fantasy value, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree with that. While we're talking about the Tigers here, you know what to do with Kerry Carpenter. You start him, you leave him in your lineup. You know, he's not really available. Someone who is available is Parker Meadows, who made his season debut here on Monday. He went 2 for 4 with a steal, a double, a triple, 2 walks, and 3 runs scored. It was an awesome first game for him. And just a reminder that the final 2 months of last season, he hit 296 with 6 home runs, 5 steals, and an 840 OPS. And that was part of the reason, I believe both of you and I, Chris, had Parker Meadows as a sleeper coming into the season. He dealt with it was like a nerve injury, right? Or something.
Yep. It was right.
A nerve injury in his tricep or bicep or something.
Yeah. Like right at the end of spring training, maybe.
So it delayed him all the way to this point. Obviously it was a major injury that kept him out, but widely available, 33% rostered. I think 5 outfielder leagues for sure. I'm not sure we're there yet on 3 outfielder leagues, but
categories leagues though. I think he's worth a look because did you mention the numbers after he came back last season?
I said the final 2 months of
what was really frustrating was he got a month and a week last year. At the start of the season, he was terrible. And then they sent him to AAA and he was amazing. He was really, really good at AAA. He gets called back up at the beginning of July, gets 3 games. I think he has got 5 hits in the first 3 games. And suffers a hamstring injury or an oblique or something.
I think it was hamstring, yeah.
Misses a month, comes back, and he's awesome for the final 2 months of the season. Hit 299 with a 344 OBP, 513 slug, 7 homers, 6 steals from his return in July. So those 3 games plus, I think it was 45 games after that, or 46 games, something like that. 21% strikeout rate. He's a good athlete. Has held his own against lefties, so I don't know if platooning is going to be an issue. And
he's actually better against lefties than righties in his career.
And first game back, he's hitting leadoff.
Yeah,
that's really big. I think
a sneaky lineup too. Tigers, good.
Yeah, so I think Parker Meadows is at least in 5 outfielder, anything 12 team or deeper, probably even 10 team 5 outfielder leagues should be rostered. And, 12 team 3 outfielder categories leagues, I do think he might be a 2020 guy who doesn't kill you in batting average. So I'm not sure how much value there's going to be in points, but frankly, if he hits 275 and is hitting leadoff and playing every day, he's probably going to matter for points leagues too. So I think Parker Meadows is severely under rostered at 33% right now.
All right, Chris, let's go over to you for your player of the night.
Max Meyer. We got to be done with him, right?
I think you said it yesterday. If you can't get it done against the Rockies in Miami, it's just, I wouldn't be surprised if at some point this season we have a stretch where we're looking back into Max Meyer, but it's been happening for so long now. It's 7 starts, a 7.01 ERA, 173 WHIP. There's no way you could start him with any level of confidence right now. I
have mentioned a few times that I had looked at like all the pitchers who had at least 14 strikeouts in a game over the past 5 years. And it's like basically all the best pitchers in baseball, plus Lance Lynn in 2023 when he was terrible, and Tristan McKenzie the 1 year he was good before he got hurt. I decided today to just let's get a bigger sample size. I looked at the last decade, and 44 different pitchers have had at least 14 strikeouts in a game at least once. And it's like Garrett Cole has done it 9 times, Jacob deGrom 7 times, Jose Fernandez did it 3 times, Steven Strasburg, like everyone awesome. And then you start to go to the guys who've done it once, and that's where you do see like Vince Velasquez in 2016 and Tanner Roark in 2016, although he was actually awesome that year. I don't know if you remember Tanner Roark having a sub-3 ERA for like 190 innings. But like Dan Straley did it, and Reynaldo Lopez in 2019 did it, and Lance Lynn in 2023, and Dylan Bundy in 2018. And that's the one that like really stood out for me with Max Meyer. Big prospect, gets called up, gets hurt, always had the good slider, never really had anything else to go along with it. I'm not saying that's necessarily the case. And again, most of the guys who have had at least 14 strikeouts in one start are really good. It's like a 90% hit rate of like, you are a must-start fantasy pitcher. And so it just seems like he might be one of the exceptions. I don't know. I don't know what happened. His slider, he threw it a lot today. He threw it, like 38% of the time? And
it was okay in this start. It actually wasn't bad.
Yeah, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. Only 6 whiffs. That's fine. But when the rest of the arsenal is not doing anything really, it's not enough. And so I think we have to drop Max Meyer.
Yeah, 78% rostered still. I mean, there's a few names out there. This is your last chance for Yuri Perez. We mentioned that yesterday. He's up to 74%.
Oh, yeah, definitely rather have him.
Obviously, you make that swap. But really, anybody else that pops up that's interesting, take a shot on Mick Abel. Let's see what happens there. So, unfortunately, Max Meyer.
He gone. And he gone. And he gone. He gone. He gone. He gone. He gone. He gone. He gone.
That is a really long compilation of he gowns from Hawk Harrelson there, but just needed to belabor the point that Max Meyer is gone. Before we hit our first break, let's just remind people that you can listen to us on Spotify, and if you do, make sure to leave us a review there. If you're listening to this episode, drop a comment. We do appreciate it, and big thanks to those watching us live. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe on YouTube if you haven't already. We'll take a break, and we'll be back right after this.
Here we go. The 2025 CBS Sports NFL schedule is here. 18 glorious Sundays.
He's got his receiver touchdown.
Filled with rematches.
Oh, the play of the year.
And rivalries.
Touchdown, Bengals.
Plus, plenty of superstar showdowns. And an epic matchup between the Chiefs and Cowboys on Thanksgiving. Clear your Sundays beginning September 7th for the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus.
Welcome back in Fantasy Baseball Today. Let's hit the news and notes. And this one, not so great for my Yankees. Per Jeff Passan, Luke Weaver injured his hamstring while warming up Sunday night and could miss 4 to 6 weeks. An official timetable will be determined on Tuesday. But obviously this is a big loss for the Yankees, big loss for fantasy as well. And Devin Williams, now's your chance, man. You're getting another opportunity here. Last 11 appearances for Williams, a 1.80 ERA, a .80 whip, 15 strikeouts to 2 walks, 75% rostered, Chris. So if Devin Williams was dropped, he could be out there in some shallower leagues. That feels like a pretty easy swap here, pretty easy replacement.
Yeah, I mean, there are enough like functional sparks that in points leagues, which I would guess are most of the leagues where he's available, it's hard to say Devin Williams is a must roster player. But if he's back to being himself, and I think for the most part he's looked like it, he was that kind of pitcher, and he's going to get the saves for the next month at least. So yeah, the weird thing is the changeup is still not quite where it needs to be. I think the whiff rate for the season is like 33%, which is the lowest it's been. First time it's been below 40%, I think since he was a rookie. And so obviously, I mean, that pitch is everything for Devin Williams. And he did get it up to 39.6% in the month of May. So that's a good sign. It was much improved from April. So maybe he's just right now. I hope so. Yeah.
Some other replacements for Luke Weaver. If you're looking, Camilo Doval, obvious one. He's 72% rostered. And he's just the closer for his respective team. You might want him over Devin Williams straight up. So I don't, if you feel that way, sure, you could go with Camilo Doval.
I don't know about that one. The strikeouts haven't been there for Doval. I think I'd rather have Williams. I guess could have a timetable where he's not the closer anymore. Although if he's awesome,
then he probably is
he probably just stays in the closer role the rest of the way. So I know teams are hesitant to have guys lose a job because of injury, but it's not like Luke Weaver has had that job for a long time.
Some other names here, Daniel Palencia, who we've mentioned a lot recently, and Robert Garcia, who looks like he might be taking over the Rangers bullpen as well. Mookie Betts has missed 4 straight with that fractured toe, but said he hopes to return on Tuesday. Elly De La Cruz will go on the bereavement list after Wednesday's game following the death of his sister in the Dominican Republic. Obviously, very tough loss there for Elly De La Cruz. Marcell Ozuna is playing through a hip injury that he'll likely need to manage throughout the season. And we got this quote from GM Alex Anthopoulos. It's one of those things he's going to have to manage and get to the off season. So
it looks like it's a torn ligament or something in the hip. That's concerning. Yeah.
It hasn't affected his production thus far. I mean, I guess there is a chance it could at some point, Chris. And, maybe there's a couple more injury management days that he might need throughout the season, but he's hitting 284, 10 homers. We were expecting, I think, a little bit more power at this point. But a 901 OPS, he's still hitting the ball extremely hard. So, I mean, he's still really good. He's just, not as good as the player he was last year. That is Marcell Ozuna. Zach Wheeler won't start in the upcoming series against the Blue Jays as he awaits the birth of his child. Christopher Sanchez is now a 2-start pitcher this week instead. Blake Snell could resume throwing off a mound early next week. He has not done so since he experienced a setback with his left shoulder in late April. Tyler Glasnow continues to play catch, but body soreness has slowed his progress.
This one was funny because for a while it seemed like Glasnow was definitely going to come back before Snell, and now maybe not. Emmett Sheehan might be back before both of them.
I cannot draft Tyler Glasnow anymore, Chris. I was thinking about it earlier today. I have him on like 2 or 3 teams. Every spring, I just kind of talk myself into, but man, per start upside, and he was really good last year, and he's on a great team, blah, 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 blah. It's just, it's so frustrating to just wait for him to come back every year. I don't want to do it.
It just can't be a top 100 pick again,
Yeah.
It's just like, we know how awesome he is. We also know he misses time every single year, and it's usually a lot of time.
Yeah.
So
remind me of this in March.
Yeah. Last year we got lucky, and the injury didn't happen until August?
Yeah.
But if that had happened in June, he probably misses 3 months. So yeah.
It's not what you want.
It's tough, but he's awesome. So it's like he
is, but it's just it is such a foregone conclusion.
When he's out there, you're like, why would anybody not draft this guy?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the tough thing. It's really, I think it just has to not be a top 100 pick. But if you picked him like 150th and you get 3 awesome months out of him, who cares?
Michael King has begun playing light catch. He's on the IL with a pinched nerve in his throwing shoulder. Christian Yelich was back in the lineup Monday after getting hit by a pitch on his right hand this weekend. And he hit his 13th home run in that game, and he remains red hot. Shane McClanahan is expected to throw his first bullpen on Friday. He's been out all season with nerve irritation in his left triceps. We had 2 outfielders activated for their respective teams. We already spoke about Parker Meadows. The other one is Colton Cowser with the Orioles. And the Orioles did not play here on Monday, so expect him to be in the lineup on Tuesday. 68% rostered. I think I asked you this a couple of weeks ago, Chris, and you said straight up you would take Meadows over Cowser. I can't imagine that has changed.
Yeah, I think it's pretty close. I think both should be like 85% rostered. So if Cowser's out there and Meadows isn't for some reason, go ahead and add him. Yeah.
Sean Manaea threw 29 pitches in a live bullpen on Monday. The Mets will see how his body responds before determining if he's ready for a rehab assignment. Jason Dominguez underwent tests on his left thumb Monday. He injured it on a slide on Sunday, so I guess we'll find out more about that on Tuesday. Phillies manager Rob Thompson indicated recently that it's unlikely pitching prospect Andrew Painter will make his major league debut prior to the All-Star break. So he is a name that you can stash if you have, a minor league spot, an NA spot or something like that, but just don't expect Andrew Painter until the second half of the season. Last week, Alex Cora said that they were going to try Christian Campbell at first base. Didn't happen. And then on Monday, he said first base is, quote, nothing that we're planning on doing now. So,
well,
I mean, he needs to focus on hitting, I think, more than fielding. Christian.
Yeah, that might just be the desire to, or the urge to get his bat in the lineup is a lot less strong now than it was a couple weeks ago. He's really fallen on hard times. I still have some faith that he will figure it out. Obviously, he showed a lot of upside in the first month of the season, but yeah, May was pretty bad, and he's got to really turn it around very quickly, or I do think there's going to be some talk about sending him down.
Apparently, the White Sox, their catcher prospect Kyle Teal has been working out at first base recently, and this season at AAA, he's hitting .289 with a .394 on base, 8 homers, 7 steals, and .885 OPS, and he's catcher eligible on CBS, and that would make him very fantasy friendly, Chris, if he got called up and started playing first base every day.
Yeah, I remember when the White Sox made the trade to acquire Teal in the Garrett Crochet trade, and he was like the big centerpiece of it. There was a lot of like, why would they trade for him if they already have one of their top prospects as a catcher? And it's like, this is not something this team should be worried about. Just get the most talented players you can and figure it out. If Kyle Teal is their best first base option by the time he's ready, cool. Let's just get those bats in the lineup. I don't think we really care where they're going to play. This is not a team that needs to be worrying about positions right now. Just get these guys in the lineup. And I think at this point, Kyle Teal's probably ready.
Jeimer Candelario began a rehab assignment in the Arizona Complex League on Monday. He's been out since late April with a back issue. Miguel Andujar was placed in the IL with an oblique injury. JJ Bleday was recalled. Gunnar Hoagland also landed on the IL with a left hip impingement. Yohan Moncada was placed in the IL with right knee inflammation. And there was a report that the Padres have interest in trading for Jarren Duran. And I'm not sure if there's any traction at all, but seeing as how the Red Sox do have a glut of outfielders, not that they should just give Jarren Duran away because he's an amazing player. I mean, they would have to ask for a lot in return, and rightfully so. But they also have Roman Anthony. So, I mean, it does make a little bit of sense here. I mean, there could be a trade match between the Red Sox and Padres. So
I just don't know what the Padres would give up to get him. DeVries or Salas. I don't know if Salas has really struggled, so I don't know if they'd want to do that. The Red Sox.
I can't see them giving DeVries up for anything.
Yeah,
really.
28-year-old who's already, making $3 million. Yeah, that's the problem with Duran as a trade target. Is he's probably more valuable to the Red Sox, even though the Red Sox have a glut of outfielders that they have to figure out. But he is 28. He's already, I think, had an arbitration season. So there's only 2 years of service left, I think. So it's like, how much are teams going to give up? I worry he might not be as valuable in trades as you might think.
Mm-hmm. And look, we talked all off season. We thought that it was a pretty high likelihood that the Red Sox would try and sell high on Jarren Duran to try and bring some pitching in. And it's not like the Padres have much pitching to offer either. And
yeah,
I'm looking at their top prospects here. Honestly, I thought they had more, but I guess they really have kind of.
No, it's just those 2 guys, and then
they've kind of they've cleaned it out over the past.
I mean, the Tanner Scott and Luis Arias trades last year alone were a big deal, and then Cease, obviously.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's talk some waiver wire hitters from Monday's action. Mostly names for deeper leagues here, but Thairo Estrada, 3 for 4 with an RBI. He also attempted a steal, but he was caught in this one. He's hit 4th or 5th in all 3 games with the Rockies. 29 years old. He was awful last year. Not sure he was ever healthy, but he was very useful in both 2022 and 2023. Estrada 15% rostered. Jesus Sanchez has been doing some things lately. He had 3 hits in this game. Last 25 games, he's hitting over 300, 3 homers, 4 steals, OPS over 800, 23% rostered. It's probably not going to play against lefties, but, a name for 5 outfielder leagues. And Joe Adell making some noise. Last 7 games, 409 with 3 homers and 6 RBI. Mostly deep league names here, Chris, but any of them stand out? Estrada, Jesus Sanchez, Joe Adell.
Yeah, I think Estrada's probably the only one who matters in, or potentially matters in, more than just the deep leagues, because if he can get back to what he was in 2022 and 2023, when he hit like 270 each year, 20-ish stolen bases, 15-ish home runs. If he could do that, but with Coors Field bumping the batting average up a little bit, say he hits 280, 285, that could be really valuable because he's going to have a chance to play every day. And he's, like you said, he's been batting in the top half of the lineup every day so far. So that's potentially pretty useful. Yeah.
Wanted to mention Hunter Goodman, who is having this breakout season here, all while struggling in Coors Field. It's very weird. 3 for 4 with a double dong. Both of these in Miami on the road in this game. He's hitting 274. He's got 9 homers, 783 OPS from a catcher. Awesome stuff.
I hadn't noticed this. Yeah.
Yeah. So at home, he's hitting 252, 2 homers, 683 OPS. On the road, 292, 7 homers, 870 OPS, which honestly, those two should probably just be reversed, right?
Yeah.
It's very weird. I want to say that, as he begins to pick things up in Coors Field, like maybe the numbers just get better, but
he's probably not an 870 OPS guy in a neutral environment.
There was I want to say it was a like
baseball prospectus book from the early 2000s. This is like Baseball Between the Numbers or something, I think is what it was called. And they did there was an essay in there about one of the Rockies players. It might've been Larry Walker in one of his very good seasons where he was actually better on the road than at Coors Field. And it was like, well, how much better could he have been? It's like, well, that's not really how it works. Like the 683 OPS that Hunter Goodman has at home still happened in Coors Field. So that might be a 600 OPS if he had done everything else the same on the road. And it's just that it just happens to be that he has been better on the road than at home. But I don't think you should just assume that means he's going to be an 870 OPS guy on the road and, 1,000 OPS guy at Coors Field. If he was, well, then we're probably talking about the best catcher in fantasy. I don't think Hunter Goodman is the best catcher in fantasy. I guess I can't say it's not happening for sure. He's been very impressive. Still not even 90% rostered, I think, which is a little surprising. But I guess, in those one catcher leagues, he does strike out a lot. But he's, I think, definitely in that top 12 discussion at this point.
All right, it was a big night for outfielders. We got Mike Trout 3 for 4 with his 10th home run, and we mentioned how far it went. I mean, 454 feet, 112.1 exit velocity. He has 3 hits in 2 of 3 starts since returning. Lawrence Butler, quietly turning things up here. 2 for 2 with his 9th home run, and last 14 games for Butler, he's hitting .364, 3 homers, 3 steals, and OPS over 1,100 during that time. Byron Buxton, I mean, please stay healthy for as long as you possibly can. I know he missed some time with the concussion, not his fault, but he went 2 for 5 with a double, 4 RBI, and his 10th stolen base. He has 10 homers and 10 steals in 44 games this season. And TJ Friedel, who's just been racking up the hits lately. Over his last 13 games, he's batting .426, and he's got the overall batting average up to .305. Chris, anything to add on Trout, Lawrence Butler, Byron Buxton, and TJ Friedel?
I think Trout's going to be very good as long as he stays healthy, and let's hope he stays healthy for longer than a month this time. Obviously, we have no real reason to expect that, given that it's been recurring knee injuries for the past year plus now, which is, it's concerning when it's different injuries every time. When it's the same injury, I think it's even more concerning. Very good to see Butler starting to turn things around, because his season has not gone the way we had hoped. He's still been hitting the ball hard, but not at all optimized. Strikeout rate had been up a little bit. Does not pull the ball in the air very much. So that's been holding him back especially. But yeah, the underlying number is starting to turn around. He's got a .363 expected WOBA over the past 50 plate appearances. That was entering today as well. So that's a good sign. Hopefully he carries it over. And then I just want to point out with Buxton and Correa, who have both hit really well since coming back from the concussion, that is not always a guarantee. And in Buxton's case, I think he has had at least 1, maybe 2 concussions before this that he's missed time with. So yeah, remember 2019, I think he had a couple of run-ins with the outfield wall and started playing shallower in the outfield to avoid that issue. And so it's never a guarantee when guys come back from concussions that they will, be able to see and track the ball. And it's a really good sign for both Carlos Correa and Byron Buxton that they have been.
All right. Anything to see here for these waiver wire pitchers? And they are mostly deep league names here. Aaron Savali, a solid outing at the Reds, 5 1/3 innings, 2 runs with 5 strikeouts. He did have 12 whiffs on 86 pitches. Stephen Kolek, solid outing at the Giants, 5 2/3 shutout with 3 strikeouts for him. Paul Blackburn of the Mets pitched well in his season debut at the Dodgers, 5 shutout with 3 strikeouts. And Hunter Dobbins pitched well as the bulk reliever for the Red Sox up against the Angels, 5 innings, 1 run, 4 strikeouts. Pretty much deep league names, Chris, but do any of these matter for fantasy?
I have Stephen Kolek, I think, in 2 leagues because he is a Sparp. That's basically the only reason I have any interest in him.
He gets the rest of these ground balls, 59%. Yeah.
The rest of these guys, I think, are low end streamers. Like, they'd have to have really good matchups to even consider them. And even Kolek is not much better than that. It's just the Sparp eligibility.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out why Blackburn was actually starting here, because now they have a 6-man rotation and they have guys that are returning soon. They have Montas and they have on Manaea eventually too. So I don't know. It might not be it might just be like a short stint here for Paul Blackburn. Maybe he's more of like a 6th or 7th starter, fill-in replacement kind of guy. All right, let's take our final break. And when we return, did you know fun stats for May? And we'll do that right after this.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you. When you need your sports in a snap, find it on CBS Sports HQ. Streaming free anywhere you are.
Welcome back in Fantasy Baseball today. Did you know? May edition. Some random fun stats here. And first up, Chris, Juan Soto was 2nd among all hitters with 19 barrels in May. That was behind Shohei Ohtani, who had 22. And by the way, Ohtani basically just led every statistical category in May. But Soto, remember, I mean, he had a down month. He hit 219. He only had 6 home runs. And the conversion rate for barrels is usually 60% of barrels go for home runs. It's not always perfect. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. But I mean, based on that, he should have deserved something like 11 home runs for May, and he only had 6. And the expected stats are still tremendous for Juan Soto. So I get that people are frustrated. It has been a slow start, but everything still says if there's any possible way for you to buy, you should be looking to do so.
Yeah, I mean, even for his career, Soto has turned barrels into home runs at about a 54% clip, so lower than average, which I think makes sense given what we know about how he has underperformed his expected stats throughout his career by about 20 points of expected WOBA. He's underperforming by about 90 points right now. It just, I hope it goes without saying that Juan Soto is going to be a monster. And I don't like, we can do like, I've seen a lot of, he wasn't happy and he's not happy with the Mets. And he's
definitely not happy.
I just like, we don't have to try to psychoanalyze these guys. You don't know them. You're not talking to them. Like the Mets have like actual like doctors on their team that are talking to these guys, presumably. Like we don't need to do this from the outside. We can just say that like Juan Soto has had a kind of slow start, certainly relative to expectations, an incredibly slow start. I have no concerns about Juan Soto whatsoever.
I brought up a new nickname for him last week. Scott was not impressed. I don't think you will be either. Juan Soto for 4.
Sure. That's probably happened a few times.
Oh, it happens a lot. Because every time it happens, I bring it up in a group chat with my Mets fan friends.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, he's gone 0 for 4 like 12 times this season.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's right. Let's talk about Matthew Boyd, who was second among qualified starting pitchers in K- walk rate in the month of May, 28.6%, which was a distant second behind Tarek Skubal. It was like Skubal first in everything on the pitching side, Ohtani first on everything on the hitting side. But for Matthew Boyd in May, he had a 3.54 ERA, a 1.04 whip, 34 strikeouts to just 2 walks in the month. And I think he's legit, Chris. I know like we've kind of done the Matthew Boyd experience for like a decade now, and lots of ups, well, mostly lots of downs and a little bit of ups. But if you look at the pitch mix, the changeup and the slider are legit. The fastball gets whiffs. It also gives up some hard contact, but I'm in. I like what we're seeing. I moved him up to SP 50 last week, which I realize is very aggressive, but pitching on a good team, I like what he's doing. I'm in. I'm in on Matthew Boyd.
Yeah, I am not as in, but I also am realizing I have him way too low and he should probably be a top 75 pitcher. But I'm going to be honest, I don't really get it. I don't understand how this is happening. Because like you say the slider and changeup are, I believe, legit was your word. And they're good pitches. Like the expected WOBA is below 275 on both. That's very good. Whiff rate, 33.6, 34.6%. Those are his only 2 pitches of 20. I just
2 pitches that are that good though. I mean, it's like
but
they're good in terms of quality of contact, and they get a good amount of hits.
But I don't see like. I guess I'm struggling with where's the above average strikeout rate supposed to be coming from, and that's the thing I'm struggling with, right? Like he doesn't really miss a lot of bats on pitches in the strike zone. He doesn't generate. He's slightly above average in chase rate. I don't quite see, like it all adds up to what should be more like a 22, 23% strikeout rate. And he's at 25%. So, that's not far. And maybe, he does a good job of pounding the zone and stealing strikes. And maybe that explains it. But I think it's probably more like a high 3s ERA, which is useful. It's not, I'm not saying Matthew Boyd shouldn't be rostered or anything. It's just, I'm having trouble getting excited about it. And maybe that's a me thing. Maybe I'm missing something obvious about Matthew Boyd, but I don't quite see it right now.
All right. Well, let's see if you like this one, Chris. Matt Chapman was 6th in average exit velocity in May at 95.1 miles per hour. And just a name we haven't really talked about at all this season. And in the month, he hit 284 with 5 homers, 16 runs scored, and an 859 OPS. And he's still he's vastly underperforming his expected stats on the season. So I kind of like Matt Chapman as a buy low right now.
Yeah, he does have a 374 expected WOBA. That's actually a career high mark. I had not realized that about Matt Chapman. I'm not sure, like, this is another one where you like look up the aggregate parts and it's like, yeah, I guess he's been a little better on contact. His average exit velocity is up a little bit from last year, and his barrel rate is actually down slightly. It's actually his lowest barrel rate since 2018, which is weird. But yeah, I think Matt Chapman is probably a relative buy low candidate. Obviously, less so after a solid May, but I don't think anybody's like super enthused about Matt Chapman right now. I guess a big part of it is 16% walk rate, which matters for points leagues, not so much for Roto, especially because he's not scoring many runs. So yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting one. Maybe a better buy low in a points than a Roto league.
All right. I tried with one Cubs pitcher. Let's try with another. Ben Brown had the second best Sierra among qualified pitchers in May, behind only Tarek Skubal, won't surprise you. But he had a 5.46 ERA, a 112 whip, 40 strikeouts to 5 walks over 31 and a third innings. The problems, still gives up hard contact. The BABIP was high. Left on base percentage was low here for him. Only 36% rostered, Chris. Do you think that should be the case for Ben Brown?
Yeah, he's not without talent, certainly. And on days when the four-seamer's working up and the knuckle curve is working down, I think Ben Brown, we've seen several instances of him being very, very impressive. The problem is, has he gone? He went 6 innings in the relief appearance this week, which is unfortunate because you don't get the quality start for it. And then he did have 2 quality starts earlier in the season, but that's it. He's very much a 5-inning pitcher for the most part, which makes sense. He'll throw a very occasional changeup, but it's a 3% usage pitch for him almost entirely to lefties. So I just think there are some inherent limitations to Ben Brown's game that are always going to be there. And another thing is, his FIP, XFIP, Sierra are all very good for the season. xERA is much worse. It's about a run worse in xERA, which accounts for quality of contact in a way that those other ones don't. The other stats largely assume similar abilities on contact. And it might just be that because Ben Brown only has those 2 pitches and he has to pitch so much up in the zone with the 4-seamer, he might always struggle with hard contact allowed.
Yeah. And, look, bringing up Ben Brown, I actually, I was surprised to see the stat, but I actually don't think he should be much more rostered than that. He feels like just a one-pitch pitcher, Chris. I mean, the curveball is filthy.
Amazing.
His fastball gets hit so hard.
The fastball's just okay.
The XWOB was around 400. And, I mean, maybe the changeup could be something. He just barely uses it. So.
I think there was some talk of him throwing like a kick change this spring, and it never really developed. That's tough.
Yeah. All right, next up, Luis Roberts, 521 OPS was 5th lowest among qualified hitters in May. In the month, he hit 195, only 1 home run, 31% strikeout rate, still hitting the ball hard. Barrel rate looks okay. 276 BABIP, maybe a little bit low here. Oof. I mean, he has more steals than RBI on the season, which is like just a confounding stat for Luis Robert. Do you consider him a buy low, Chris, or is it just kind of stay away from the headache?
I do think he's a buy low. His expected stats are not great, but they are better than what he's done, which was not the case last year. It's worth saying. Like last year, his underlying numbers were exactly as bad as his top line numbers. And this year, the underlying numbers, it's a 312 xWOBA. That's not great. But like if Luis Robert was hitting 240 with, 7 or 8 home runs in the stolen bases he has, it wouldn't be great, but it would be fine. I think he's going to hit 240-ish the rest of the way. At least I'm hoping. And I'll buy into the underlying numbers here. Even though they're not great, they are better.
All right. And the last one that I have, Bailey Falter had the 3rd best ERA of 0.76 and the 5th best whip, .84. 6 starts in May, brought up the ERA and whip, but it also came with a 4.8 K per 9, a 3.3 walks per 9. So just wanted to bring this up because in case people are wondering, why haven't you talked about Bailey Falter? Well, he has almost as many walks as strikeouts in the month, and it's a 163 BABIP, a 91% left on base percentage. So it feels like he got really lucky in the month.
Yes. Strikeouts matter because they have individual value. In fantasy, they are one of the 10 categories in Roto. They give you points in points leagues. They also matter because they help you avoid runs. Every strikeout is necessarily a ball that's not in play. And he has been absurdly reliant on outs and balls in play. A 163 BABIP is obviously unsustainable. There's nothing a pitcher can do to sustain a 163 BABIP, especially not Bailey Falter. So I understand that he has had a really good run of starts lately. I have no interest in chasing that.
Yeah, I agree with you as well. I have been in an NL only league, so like, sure, anyone who has a pulse there, maybe you stream them in like a deeper mixed roto, like 15 team. But even then, I just, I'd be staying away from Bailey Falter. All right, Chris, let's get into a little fantasy justice here. This is something we used to do, and kind of similar to what Adam Azer does with like the fantasy cops and regulators back in the day. It's harder to work stuff like this in season, but only 7 games on the schedule. So let's get to it. I got this question Sunday on Twitter, and it caused quite the stir, Chris. At 7:10 p.m. Eastern time, somebody tweeted me, a trade in my league was made. Corbin Burns for Dylan Cease. The deal was accepted before the game today. Should it be voided? And me, without thinking, I just wrote yes. People did not like that. Remember, Corbin Burns left that game with an elbow injury. So, look, I understand both sides. Things happen, injuries happen. If you want to take the approach that, you accepted the trade, this is legally binding, like blah, blah, blah. Okay, I get it. Like by the letter of the law, yes, the trade went through. There's nothing you could do about it. That's fine. But it's really the timing of everything here, Chris. I mean, it was merely hours before Corbin Burns got hurt. Personally, I would not want to win that way. Plus, it just kind of feels like the right thing to do. Like, I don't know, being empathetic, it's like doing the right thing. But that's why I would say void it. But yeah, people did not.
So I get that. I would not ask for the trade to be voided if I was the one who traded for Corbin Burns.
If you were the one who traded for Corbin Burns,
like that is not how I would approach. Like that. That's just bad luck. I thought you were going to set up was trade was accepted immediately after the injury, in which case it's clear that trade had been sitting out there for a while, and the person saw Corbin Burns got hurt and immediately accepted it. That, I would say, it's okay to veto. That is a rare instance where that person is acting in bad faith, and I would be fine with that. I know that you can say, well, you shouldn't leave trade offers out there. It could have been sent earlier that day. Like I would be okay walking that back. I'm not saying you have to. In this instance, if someone really throws a fit, or if the guy who got Dylan Cease is okay walking back, okay. Like if you think that's better for the league, but like everything was above the board. Nobody got shafted. Nobody got taken advantage of. It's just bad luck. In that instance, it sucks for the person who traded for Corbin Burns, but with the information you had, they were both healthy. I don't think you undo this one.
And I see that side of it too. I mean, that's what people were bringing up to me. And I do think it comes down to the people that made the trade too.
Yeah.
Like if they're, bringing up how this is unfair, or like, come on, there has to be something that can change about this. Like, surely we can't let this thing go through. Then
you cut Dylan Cease in half and everybody gets, they alternate starts.
Home road starts.
Yeah.
One gets home, one gets road.
One gets Monday, Wednesday, and the weekends. Yeah. I do think vetoes should be limited to situations in which someone's acting in bad faith, taking advantage of someone. And that's not what happened here, unfortunately. I think it's just crappy luck. And if they made the trade and Corbin Burns gets hurt in his next start, are we also going to ask for that? Like that?
No, like that's the thing.
But they made the trade with the information that they had, and that's all you can ask. That's all you can do.
Yeah, I mean, it's just to me like the fact that it's the same day and it's a couple hours.
Sure,
later.
that sucks.
I get what you're saying. Like, look, if it's a day or two later, then I'm like, all right. I don't know why that matters so much to me that it's the same day.
No, I think you just got to let it go.
I hear you. I would not want to keep the trade. If I accepted the trade and I got Dylan Cease, I would say
I might be open to that discussion. It depends. Yeah, how much? What kind of entry fee we got in this league? You know?
Yeah, fair enough. So I don't know if we've actually decided this, but I think most people will probably side with you on this one. So with that, fantasy justice, I think, has been served. All right, some pitching standouts from Monday. Logan Webb was awesome up against the Padres. Nice little bounce back. Last couple starts were a little shaky here, but 8 shutout innings with 7 strikeouts for him. Had 10 whiffs on 102 pitches. Jack Flaherty, a quality start at the White Sox, 6 innings, 1 run with 4 strikeouts. And Dustin May turned in a quality start up against the Mets, 6 innings, 2 runs, 5 strikeouts, only had 5 whiffs on 88 pitches. I'll quickly mention Joe Ryan just because, he's a pitcher of, fantasy relevance. He's a top 20 pitcher, but did not have his best stuff at the Athletics. 5 innings, 4 runs, 4 strikeouts here. But did anything stand out for Joe Ryan, Dustin May, Jack Flaherty, and Logan Webb?
Interesting. Ryan's velocity was actually way up in this start, about 1.5 miles per hour on everything, which his velocity's been a little down this season, but it hasn't really affected his performance. So I don't know what to make of that, except that he's been really good and I'm not going to worry about it. Dustin May's been getting a lot of strikeouts lately. And then he, got his normal-ish amount of strikeouts. Was it 5 or 6 today?
I wrote down 5, but
it was 5. I wrote it wrong on my notes. But he only got the 5 whiffs. He's not a strikeout pitcher. Like, I would take the under on his, I think his current ERA is 4.09. I would take the under on it, but I don't think he's a mid-3s ERA guy. And at some point, they're going to have to limit his innings. Someone's going to have to stay healthy and allow them to limit Dustin May's innings, I guess. So that would be my concern with Dustin May moving forward. I do want to point out with Logan Webb, I've said it several times this season. I think this is the best version of Logan Webb we've ever seen. I think the trials and tribulations that he went through last year, like losing the feel for his changeup, have made him a better pitcher. And I think one thing really highlights that. He threw 3 4-seamers in this game, which does not sound notable. All 3 of them were with 2 strikes, and 2 of them generated strikeouts. He has 19 strikeouts with his 4-seamer. He has ended 19 strikeouts with his 4-seamer so far this season. His previous career high is 20 with his 4-seamer. So he has shifted his usage of that pitch. He's throwing it more in 2-strike counts to righties especially. And it's been another weapon for him. And he has now 4 different pitches that I think he has at least 19 strikeouts this season. Last year, 52 with the sinker, 57 with the changeup, 40 with the sweeper, and only 20 with the 4-seamer. He's never really had 4 pitches that he can end at bats with, and now he does. I think, is Logan Webb a 2.55 ERA pitcher? Probably not. Is he a 3 ERA pitcher right now? Yeah, I buy that. I think we're seeing the highest strikeout upside for Logan Webb that we've ever seen, and I think it's made him a better pitcher.
All right, some hitting leftovers here. Just want to mention from that final game that went final, the Mets and the Dodgers, Lindor, 2 for 5 with a sock and a shoe, his 14th home run, his 11th steal. And I saw this tweet from Sarah Langs. The Mets have won 27 consecutive regular season games when Francisco Lindor homers. That's the second longest streak of wins when homering for a player since 1900, behind only Carl Furillo. Yeah,
I've seen this stat going around. I like to think I have a pretty good sense of baseball history, and Carl Ferrillo is not a I don't know how you would pronounce that actually. My first thought when I saw it was Carfarillo, but he's from Pennsylvania, so I don't know if he's Latino.
Carl
So
Ferrillo.
Ferrillo? Yeah, I guess Ferrillo. Never had more than 26 homers in a season. Only had 320 homer seasons. That's a weird stat.
Mm-hmm. And on the other side, Shohei Ohtani, hit his 23rd home run of the season, which ties him again for the league lead with Cal Raleigh.
Good piece on Baseball Prospectus today about Cal Raleigh and just what he's doing. The pulled air rate is bonkers. I think it's 40%, we said yesterday. It's depending on how you define it. Either way, no matter what definition you use, he has the highest in baseball by a large margin.
Mm-hmm. Call to the bullpen for the Rockies. Zach Agnos got the 9th inning with a 2-run lead. He allowed a hit, but picked up his 4th save. And just like that, the Rockies have made it to 10 wins on the season. For the Brewers, Trevor McGill got the 9th with a 1-run lead. He struck out 1 for his 12th save. For the Angels, Kenley Jansen got the 9th with a 1-run lead, and he struck out 1 for his 12th save. In that Mets and Dodgers game, we had relievers galore all over the place here. Edwin Diaz got the 9th inning with a 1-run lead. He gave up a run on 2 hits and took his first blown save, but he wound up with the win because on the other side, Tanner Scott entered in the 10th inning. He allowed 2 hits, 2 runs to score, only one of those earned. Also added a walk here. And now for Tanner Scott, over his last 7 appearances, 6 innings, 12 runs allowed, 13 hits, 2 homers, 3 blown saves. This wasn't a blown save, but
Tanner Scott's throwing too many strikes. That's a weird thing to say, but he is his walk rate is down to like 3%. His in-zone pitch rate is like 58%. Last year it was 52. That's an absurdly high mark, and I think it's made him a little more hittable. So I'm not too worried about it, but he hasn't been as good.
I think I saw that Michael Kopech is close to being activated, and so I don't think that they would throw him right into high leverage situations, but maybe he could work his way up there, or Alex Vesia, maybe.
Yeah.
On the
Vesia's velocity was up in his most recent outing, I believe. So yeah.
And I know he picked up a save recently. It's just everybody else that we thought could have made an impact. Blake Treinen is hurt and Kirby Yates is hurt. So there's just not many other names. That's why they traded for Alexis Diaz.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. To stream or not to stream for Tuesday, we have Lance McCullers at the Pirates. Cade Horton is at the Nationals. Brian Bayo home against the Angels. Shane Smith home against the Tigers. Tomoyuki Sugano at the Mariners. Landon Roop gets the Padres. And Clayton Kershaw home against the Mets.
McCullers, Horton, and Bayo would be my 3.
Mm-hmm.
I could see Sugano. I could see Rupp, but I don't love either.
Yeah. I think I would go McCullers, Horton, and Sugano of those names. And then on Wednesday, we have Luis Ortiz at the Yankees. Clark Schmidt is facing the Guardians. Jose Soriano at the Red Sox. Lucas Giolito is home against the Angels. Mick Abel at the Blue Jays. Noah Cameron at the Cardinals. Kyle Harrison home against the Padres. Zebby Matthews at the Athletics.
Zebby.
Pitchers in Sacramento kind of scare me.
Yeah, it's a little scary, especially with the early hooks that he's gotten. But I would go with him, and then Abel would be my 2 favorites. Soriano and Giolito are okay, but I don't love either.
I would go with Noah Cameron. I'd go Mick Abel, and I think Clark Schmidt against the Guardians is fine. Let's wrap up with Team Name Tuesday, and these are from Jason. The judge sentenced you to Holmes arrest.
Yeah, sure.
Or Bohm arrest, if you want to.
Yeah, neither's great.
Judge Yuri and the executioner.
Sure. Yeah, that's good.
The judge springs you loose.
I don't know if that's how the law works, but sure.
These are Bob's Burgers themed, which I haven't watched.
I haven't really watched Bob's Burgers, actually.
All right. So,
so
somebody out there might appreciate these. Bob's Burgers versus Jimmy Vestos. Jimmy Vestos.
Sure.
Jimmy Jr. Caminero.
Sure.
Mr. Fish Ober and Felix Bautista.
Yeah.
All right. I hope our Bob's Burgers fans enjoyed those. These are from Kevin. Quan with the Wind.
Yep.
Breakfast at Jung Hoo Lee's.
I don't get that one, but I believe it.
Casas Blanca.
Yeah.
I think those were all old film related, but I don't know what the Breakfast at Jung Hoo Lee's would be.
Breakfast at Tiffany's, maybe?
Yeah, that's what maybe I was thinking.
That's a stretch, but yeah.
From Brian, don't hassle the Hoffman.
Sure.
And he says, this one's terrible, but Betts call Sal Frelick. Is that like a better call Saul?
I guess, yeah.
From Jeff, spin rate doctors.
Sure.
10,000 Moniacs.
Yeah.
The Velvet Underground and Nico Horner.
Yeah. 10,000 Moniacs is really good.
That's what, 10,000 Maniacs? Is that
a
man or something?
That's very good.
All right. These are from Mateo, Scooble Milk Hotel.
Yep.
Sunny Gray Real Estate.
Sunny Gray Real Estate's a classic. I've used that one before, yeah.
My Birdie Valentine.
That's good.
And Vampire Weems Kend.
Sure.
From Casey, The Amazing Strider Man.
Yeah.
Strider Man, No Woo Home.
Yeah.
Smooth Torpedo Jazz.
I don't understand, but sure.
And Wootopia.
I guess Smooth Jazz. I don't know.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Wootopia. Okay. And this last one's from David. I am a lawyer and I have been stashing Jordan Lawler in my fantasy league for 3 years to make a pun on a lawyer team name. I added Hayden Birdsong last week for a team, Bird Lawler. And it's Always Sunny in Philadelphia reference.
I don't get it, but I believe it.
Bird Lawler. I watched maybe the first couple seasons and it was funny. I don't know why.
I've watched a bunch of episodes. I just haven't watched it all,
Yeah, I'm right there with you. All right, we're going to wrap there. For Chris, I am Frank. Thanks as always for tuning in to Fantasy Baseball today. Please make sure to follow and leave a 5-star rating on Apple or Spotify. And we will be back again tomorrow. Bye-bye.